Hello and welcome. It is a true pleasure to have you with us today. I hope you're sitting comfortably and are ready for a good conversation.
It's wonderful to be here.
Before we begin our journey into today's story, I want to take just a brief moment to introduce you to the channel that makes this all possible. We are FAMOSIQ.
That's FAMOSIQ.
Right. And our mission here is quite simple, but we think it's very important. We look past the frantic headlines to understand the real human experiences behind success. So if you enjoy thoughtful conversation, I would like to personally invite you to support us. Please take a moment to click the like button, share this with a friend, and subscribe to the FAMOSIQ channel. Your support is really what helps us keep these conversations going.
It absolutely is. Subscribing is the best way to make sure you never miss one of these deep dives.
Thank you for that. Now let's settle in. I want to start with a question for you, our listener. It's something I've been thinking about quite a bit. We live in a world that seems just obsessed with speed. Everyone wants things faster, results instantly. We only seem to celebrate the youngest, the newest. But I find myself wondering, in all this rushing, what does it actually take to build a legacy that lasts?
That is the central tension of our time, isn't it?
It really is. We're told faster is better, but...
Is it?
We live in a culture that races toward the finish line, but we rarely stop to ask what happens after the race is won. It's the difference between, say, a flash in the pan and a slow-burning fire that keeps you warm for a long time.
Exactly. That's the perfect image. And to explore this idea of longevity, we're going to look at a young man named Carlos Alcaraz.
Oh, yes.
Now, you might know him as a tennis player, a global superstar. But today, we aren't just going to talk about forehands and backhands. We're looking at him as a case study in growing up under immense pressure.
And the wisdom required to stay there. It's a fascinating story. And to understand it, you first have to understand the world he stepped into. You have to understand the history.
Where do we begin? For nearly 20 years, men's tennis asked one single, terrifying question.
Who is next?
Who is next? Exactly. It was a very anxious time for the sport. We had what was called the Big Three era: Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic.
Titans.
Absolute titans. They dominated the sport so completely for 2 decades that they seemed immortal. But time, it stops for no one. And as they began to age, there was this collective anxiety. Everyone was worried who could possibly carry this sport once they were gone.
It wasn't just about finding a winner.
No, it was about finding a savior.
That is a very heavy burden for anyone. And that brings us to the pivotal moment. The year was 2022. The place, the United States Open in New York. Carlos Alcaraz won the championship. He was only 19 years old.
19. It's incredibly young to shoulder that kind of burden. I mean, think back to when you were 19.
Just 19. And immediately, the world declared him the answer.
The chosen one.
Yes. And it was as if the entire sport just breathed this huge sigh of relief. But our source material for today shows there's a hidden cost to that title. It's not all celebration, is it?
No, not at all. There is a tremendous cost. When the world calls you the chosen one, it changes everything. It wasn't just about winning a trophy anymore. From that moment on, Alcaraz was being asked to carry an entire global industry on his shoulders.
It sounds suffocating.
It is. He wasn't just playing to win a match, he was playing to prove that tennis had a future. That is a weight that is almost impossible to describe.
So let's unpack how he got there. Let's go back to the beginning. His roots.
Yes. Roots are important.
Carlos Alcaraz was born in El Palmar. It's a small town in Spain. And it's important to note, this was not a place of glamour. Not a wealthy, gated community for creating tennis stars. It was a regular town.
That's a crucial detail. We often assume these stars are manufactured in some high-tech facility, with every advantage. But El Palmar is humble. It's real.
His father was a former amateur player. And our sources say his father understood the beauty of the sport, but also its harsh reality. He knew it wasn't some easy golden ticket to wealth.
And that perspective, that parental perspective, is the foundation of his whole character. Alcaraz wasn't raised in a fantasy world. His father knew the difficulty, knew the odds were stacked against them.
And that leads to this idea I found really interesting. The sources call him the anti-prodigy. Could you explain that?
Yes, this is a key distinction. Usually, when we hear about a prodigy, we imagine someone who's coddled, protected, treated like fragile porcelain.
Right, wrapped in cotton wool. We see it all the time.
Precisely. But Alcaraz was raised differently. He wasn't protected from the difficulty, he was introduced to it. In a world where young talents are often spoiled by media and fame, he was taught something very old-fashioned.
Which was?
Professional responsibility.
Professional responsibility. That's a phrase we don't hear much about with teenagers.
It's rare. It means he had to own his mistakes, understand consequences. He wasn't treated like a prince who deserves everything. He was treated like a worker who must earn everything.
And the work itself, it wasn't glamorous. No red carpets in El Palmar. It was just repetition, hitting the ball again and again and again.
A very blue-collar approach to success, like a craftsman learning a trade.
Yes, exactly. And that foundation made him ready for his coach, Juan Carlos Ferrero, who, for those who don't know, is a former world #1 himself.
So he's been to the top of that mountain. He knows the path.
And the relationship seems unique. It's not the typical coach-client thing.
It's very special. It wasn't built on flashy promises. Ferrero didn't tell him, stick with me and you'll be rich and famous. He didn't promise an easy life.
What did he tell?
He taught him a hard truth. Ferrero's philosophy is that talent does not protect you from pressure. In fact, talent actually increases the pressure.
That's an interesting way to look at it. We usually think talent makes things easier.
In the beginning, maybe, but at the elite level, talent creates expectation, and expectation is heavy. Ferrero's goal wasn't just to teach him a forehand. His goal was to teach him how to survive the meat grinder of top-level tennis.
The meat grinder, that's a vivid phrase.
It is. He was preparing him for a war, not a party, for the long haul.
And that difficulty became very real after that United States Open win. As you said, a historic achievement.
But history often comes with a price tag.
It does. And reality setting quickly. Let's talk about the physical cost. I think many of us listening can relate to the idea that the body has limits.
Absolutely. The human body is not a machine. It wears down.
The question was raised in the articles we reviewed. Can a 19-year-old body actually handle that schedule? These 5-set matches lasting 4 or 5 hours? It's punishment.
It is brutal. And history is full of warnings. We've seen so many tennis talents who burned out early. Brilliant at 18, gone by 22.
Not because they lacked skill?
No, they had plenty of skill. Their bodies just broke down under the stress.
And Alcaraz started to feel this, didn't he?
He did. After that big rise, he faced injuries, slumps, unexpected losses. People started to whisper, is he a one-hit wonder? But this is where the story pivots. This is where it gets really interesting.
What changed?
It moved from a story about youthful energy to one about mature wisdom. Alcaraz and his team made a crucial decision, a strategy of selection.
Selection. What does that mean here?
It means the power of saying no. Instead of chasing every single tournament, trying to prove he was invincible, they chose to prioritize recovery. They decided to skip events, to stay home.
That takes a lot of courage. It's hard to stop when the world expects you to go.
It does. Modern sports culture demands total sacrifice. Go until you drop. Choosing to slow down is often seen as weakness.
I think that's a value that will resonate with our listener. Prioritizing longevity over short-term gain. The wisdom of knowing that if you want to keep going, you sometimes have to stop.
Precisely. It was a sign of premature maturity. It was brilliant. He realized he's playing for a long career, 15 or 20 years, not just one good season.
Protecting his future by being careful with his present. That's a beautiful way to put it.
It's about understanding that you are the asset. You have to maintain the asset.
Now let's shift gears a little. We've talked about the physical side. I want to talk about the mental side, the issue of identity.
Just as important, maybe even more so.
Immediately, because he's Spanish, because he plays with such intensity, everyone compared him to Rafael Nadal.
The comparisons were inevitable. The nationality, the fighting spirit.
But Alcaraz refused to be a copy.
He did, and that's very difficult when the world wants to put you in a box. But he insisted on being himself, and he proved it with his wins at Wimbledon and Roland Garros.
Why did those wins prove that?
Adaptability. He showed he could win on grass and on clay, but with his own style. It wasn't just grinding opponents down. He was using drop shots, coming to the net. He was playful. He was building a game for the modern era.
But even with that success, we have to go back to that label, the future of the sport. The mental burden must be incredible.
It's crushing. When you're the chosen one, a loss is never just a loss. If a normal player loses, it's a bad day. If he loses, the media treats it as a crisis for the whole sport.
A magnifying glass on every mistake.
It is an invisible pressure. He said he had to learn a very specific skill. Detachment.
Detachment. Powerful word.
He had to learn to ignore the noise. Shut out social media. Stop listening to unrealistic expectations from strangers.
That is a lesson for all of us, I think. managing expectations versus reality. We all deal with noise.
It's a universal difficulty, and frankly, I think this highlights a flaw in our modern, especially American perspective on sports.
How so?
We love the rise, the underdog story. It's exciting, dramatic. But we lack patience for the maintenance. We get bored with the quiet work of staying healthy or rebuilding.
We want the movie ending every single day.
Correct. We forget these are human beings with physical and mental limits. They aren't superheroes. They get tired.
Which brings us to this really powerful realization from our sources. The idea of the first Alcaraz.
This is the core takeaway.
He doesn't need to be the next Federer, or the next Nadal, or the next Djokovic.
No. His greatest value is becoming the first Alcaraz.
What does that mean to you?
It means redefining greatness. It's not just about explosive moments, it's about survival, adaptation, evolution over time. It's about being the best version of yourself, not a copy of someone else.
He's writing his own definition of success.
He is, and he's doing it by accepting that he has his own timeline. He's not racing against the ghosts of the past.
And this expands so far beyond tennis. This is a lesson for modern society.
I agree completely. For anyone trying to master a craft or even just live a good life.
We live in a world that praises success only when it happens fast. If you're not a millionaire by 25, you're seen as behind.
But this story tells us something different. It tells us that real value comes from durability, from a steady pace. It's not about how fast you run the first mile. It's about whether you can finish the marathon.
The wisest step isn't the fastest one. It's the one steady enough to keep you from falling.
That's beautiful. And it's true. Sometimes you have to slow down to ensure you can keep moving forward.
It's about the long game.
Always the long game.
You know, as we come to the end of this, I'm thinking about you, our listener. If you are still here with us, listening to these final minutes, it tells me something about you.
What's that?
It tells me you likely care about more than just scores and trophies. You care about the human stories behind the success. You understand the complexity of the journey.
And that is exactly why we do this. We value that perspective.
It is. That is the mission of FAMOSIQ. To provide perspectives that help you understand the people behind the fame. To strip away the celebrity and look at the humanity.
If I may offer a final thought.
Please do.
Sometimes the most valuable thing isn't the final result. It's the journey that requires patience to understand. It's the quiet discipline, the refusal to quit, and the wisdom to know yourself. That's what makes a true champion in tennis and in life.
Thank you. That is a wonderful sentiment to close on.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And to you, our listener, if you want to continue discovering untold stories, not just about celebrities, but about how fame, pressure, and truth weave through their lives, please subscribe to the FAMOSIQ channel. Your subscription helps us bring these stories to light.
And don't forget to click like if you enjoyed our conversation.
Yes, please like and share this with someone who appreciates a meaningful story. We appreciate you spending your time with us. Until next time, take care of yourselves.
Goodbye for now.